Good afternoon, students. This is Arindam Bag here, and today our topic is Ghosts by Henrik Ibsen. In my earlier presentation, I have explained or provided you the summary of Act 1. The entire presentation was divided into two parts. Okay, the first presentation contains the summary of Act 1, Part 1, and Part 2, I guess, and then the next part was part 3 and 4. Yesterday I uploaded the part 3 and part 4 section of Act 1. Now today we are going to deal with the Act 2, part 1 and part 2. So what's going on over here? Now here we know already, we are familiar with this character, Pastor Manders and Mrs. Alving. They emerge from the dining room and they exchange some civilities until they are sure that Regina and Oswald have been sent on very separate tasks and are out of earshot. So, why it has been mentioned over here? Because we will realize that Pastor Manders and Mrs. Alving, they had a sort of romantic relationship earlier, especially from the side of Mrs. Alving. She was looking for some sort of rescue or some sort of shelter from Pastor Manders because her husband, Captain Alving, for her it was unbearable. She was unable to tolerate the behavior, the lifestyle of Captain Alving. So now they are quite sure that Regina and Oswald, they are busy with different tasks and they are not close by. So Mrs. Alving suggests that Oswald's flirtation with Regina was just a whim. But the pastor is still shocked. He insists that she immediately return to her father. Her father means Carpenter Engstrand. So why it is like this? Earlier, Engstrand himself requested Regina to return to his home, to her home. The pastor is reminded of the wedding of Engstrand and Joanna. Actually, when he sees Regina and Oswald, they are close with each other, he was afraid of something. So Mrs. Alving tried her level best to refuse any sort of suggestions like returning Regina to Engstrand. And then pastor is reminded of the wedding of Engstrand and Joanna, how their marriage actually happened, when Engstrand was profusely sorry for his irresponsibility in impregnating Joanna out of wedlock. Now, in a society like that, the society which we are getting over here, it shows that these people are religious, these people are maintaining sort of social practices, they are maintaining religious practices also, and sex before marriage is considered to be a sin or irresponsibility. Nowadays situation is different, but in a society like that which we are having over here, which we find over here, out of wedlock, if somebody is pregnant, then it is a kind of scandal, it is a kind of sin for them. Right now also, out of wedlock, if without waiting, if there is any pregnancy or things like that, then society doesn't welcome these things, or rather not everyone is happy with this sort of activities or this sort of incidents. Though it is their personal choices, people has their freedom of expression and I guess freedom of their lifestyle also. They can choose their lifestyle in whatever fashion they like. But still, we live in a society we are surrounded by people, and not everyone will be happy with this kind of activity. Even that time also it was criticized, or it was not which was supposed to be like that should not be practiced. It was believed at that time. Now the pastor is shocked by extant hypocrisy, especially considering the sum of money that Joanna was awarded to keep quiet, and which no doubt prompted him to marry her. Now we can see Engstrand is a, is a hypocrite person actually. He accepted Joanna as his wife because Joanna was awarded some money so that she may keep quiet that who is responsible behind her pregnancy. And to get that money, Engstrand actually accepts Joanna as his wife. So this is the situation we are having here. That means a society which appears to be a very strict and religious, it appears that nobody is following the religious rules or the rules of the society. Rather, they are breaking it in every possible way and showing their hypocrisy. That's how things happens in the society. Yes, we are not perfect, but yes, we are always looking for others' imperfection. So here also Miss Alving reminds him that she herself married a fallen man for his money, and that indeed her heart wanted to marry someone else. I told you earlier that Mrs. Alving married Captain Alving out of pressure, and now it has been clear to us she accepted her husband for his money. She accepted Captain Alving for his money, and it is also clear that she is in love with someone else. So the pastor tries to deny the similarity between Captain Alving and Joanna as fallen individuals. Why they are described as fallen? If you analyze the character of Joanna and Captain Alving, you will find that both of them maintained or was involved in illicit affairs, especially sexual affairs, things which are forbidden. But that is also they were doing it. That is, they were maintaining it, hiding things, but it's like open secret. He ignores the reference made to her former affection for him. He reminds her that no matter what, her marriage was made under the law. But Mrs. Alving feels that law and order are the source of all problems. See, we have law and orders, and we have those people who break those things. Why we need law and order in first place? Because a lot of people will act in a crazy manner or act in a different way, creating trouble to the others. That means the existence of these people are true, and to maintain that we have law and order. And Mrs. Alving considered this is the source of all problems, because when you have law and order, people who are smart enough, they can bypass law and order, or rather they will use law and order to defend themselves, their actions. And she yearns to break free. She rises and goes to the window, and then drumming on the pane, she wishes that she hadn't concealed the truth from Oswald, and she called herself a coward. The pastor urges her to remember the value of joyful illusion she has fabricated for her son, and to remember her duty to keep her son happy. We will see these things. Pastor Alving regularly did this. He reminded Mrs. Alving about the roles and responsibilities towards the society, what the society thinks about her. Even when Mrs. Alving went to Pastor Manders out of that romantic feeling, so he denied to accept her, and rather he suggested that you should behave like a good wife, and you should maintain the dignity and decorum of the family of Captain Alvin. So here it is the commentary section. It is comical to see the pastor angered at Engstrand. Why it is so? The pastor has realized that Engstrand fooled him once, but doesn't realize that Engstrand is always tricking him. In fact, it is Engstrand who is playing with him. It will not be long before Engstrand has the chance to convince him that he was never betrayed at all. Regarding Joanna, it is important to note that Mrs. Alving does not regret sending her away with money to keep her quiet. She treats Joanna as simply another pawn in her grand plan to maintain good reputation. Neither does she show much compassion for Regina. She doesn't apologize for the awkward position she has created for the girl. Yet Mrs. Alving realizes that there are flaws in her worldview. She calls herself a coward. She looks out the window at the darkening, misty landscape, although she doesn't take immediate action. She doesn't take immediate action, and um, she does wish that she had the courage to do so. Similarly, even while she reads radical books, she readily agrees with the pastor that she should keep her unconventional ideas to herself. She is a radical on theoretical but not practical level. While she would like to tell Oswald the truth about his father, she cannot bring herself to do so in practice. Pastor Mander's opinion on telling Oswald that the truth is that the truth would make the youth unhappy. This reveals the pastor's fundamental reluctance to upset the status quo, a reluctance he shares with Mrs. Alving. What he doesn't share with Mrs. Alving is the temptation to break free. He also doesn't question what anyone says. Although he argues with Mrs. Alving, he doesn't come to any new conclusion. He just recites gospel. He repeatedly turns a blind eye to class issues. He also emphasizes the difference between Johanna, the fallen woman, and the Captain Alving, the fallen gentleman. So, next we are moving to part 2, and we will see what happens here. So Mrs. Alving is feeling rebellious, and she goes on to suggest that she would approve of a marriage between Regina and Oswald, as long as the couple made the decision in full knowledge of their true genealogy. She goes so far to remind the pastor of all the incestuous marriages he must ordain throughout the countryside. Why it has been incestuous? Because both of them, Regina and Oswald, they have something common in them. Both of them, in both of these two characters, their father is Captain Alvin. So theoretically they are brother and sister. So that's why it is incestuous. The pastor averts the subject and reverts to an earlier topic, asking what she meant by calling herself a coward. She explains that she is haunted by ghosts in her mind, and she describes the ghost as being more than that which we inherit from our parents. They are all the ideas and habits that are passed down between generations as larger units, and which we are afraid to give up, which make us afraid of the light. Pastor Manders dismisses such thoughts as the result of the books Mrs. Alving has been reading, but she says that they are rather the result of the sense of duty the pastor infused her with when she fled to him. The pastor is moved, asking if this cramping sense of duty is all that came from his life's greatest battle within himself. He says it was a struggle for him to send her back because he too had feelings for her. See, this is something difficult, a temptation which is very difficult to avoid. So, Mrs. Alving was like a temptation to him, but somehow he managed to escape it. But she insists that when she came to him and said, "Here I am, take me," it was a crime for him to turn her away. They agree that they do not understand one another at all. The conversation has turned back to Engstrand when a knock is heard at the door. That's the end of part 2, Act 2, Part 2. Now we are in the commentary section. So Mrs. Alving's notion of ghosts gets the heart of the play. We already know the title of this play is Ghosts. Not only are the ghosts in the sense of specific persons come back in life in new forms, as one could figuratively say that Regina is a ghost of Johanna. There are ideas that haunt generation after generation. As a priest, pastor, Manders is a purveyor of these ghosts. He emphasizes on ideas of familial loyalty. It's a plague on all the character in the play. No one is perfect in this particular play. You will see everyone is a kind of hypocrisy they are maintaining. Regina doesn't want to return to Engstrand. Oswald doesn't believe that marriage must be sanctioned by the church. Mrs. Alving doesn't believe that she should have been loyal to her husband. The pastor, however, is not the only source of these ideas. They truly are ghosts. They permeate and hover within the entire community. They haunt each other character. So, Mrs. Alving says that these ghostly ideas make us afraid of the night. Throughout the play, gloom, rains, clouds symbolize hypocrisy, fear, duty, and the general cowardice generated by an obsession with public reputation. Later in the uh, later later in the play, we will see how several sources of light upset this gloom. In this ensuing conversation, we see Pastor and Mrs. Alving at their most intimate. Apparently, their attraction was mutual, it is for sure. The pastor has over dramatized it in his memory, considering the episode his greatest battle with himself. Here, Ibsen demonstrates how people can make themselves unhappy out of a sense of duty. Mrs. Alving resents this fact, the fact that the pastor denied both of them happiness. Here we see the root of their belief that law and order cause unhappiness, the root of her fear of cowardice, and the root of her strong desire to break free. Indeed, if she is a radical who never acts on her radical principles, then we can think of the time she tried to leave her husband for the pastor as the one time she did act on principle, because the object of her desire refused her impulse to act died. So that will be all for today. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share and subscribe my channel. Thank you again.